next guest this evening is all the way from London. He is director of the think tank, the Centre for Social Cohesion. He is Douglas Murray. Douglas, pleasure to meet you. Good to see you. Okay, Douglas.
Is it damage beyond repair? Well, no, because it can't be, because, I mean, what is the alternative? I don't think there are any alternatives broadly based to the system we currently have in Westminster. That said, I mean, the reforms that are needed in the House have to be much more than the sort of band-aid reforms they've been so far. The breakdown of trust between people in this country and Westminster is profound. I mean, I'm one of those people who lives and works in Westminster who doesn't have any reliance on voters and voter approval. But I look at the breakdown that's happening between the public and those people in the House of Commons just across from my office. And I have to say, I think it's worse than any breakdown of trust like this for, I think, living memory, really. And it just can't be overemphasized. And the House of Commons is proving itself incapable of reforming itself. The party leaders, I have, by the way, I should say, no particularly party political truck in this. I dislike all the parties. But all of the leaders of all of the parties have done the same thing, which they've punished a few people they didn't need anyway, and kept the people closest to them, irrespective of how much those MPs picked our pockets. And the pickpocketing, as it turned out again just a couple of days ago, has been incredible. We see just in the last 48 hours a Tory MP, one of the most bigoted backbench Tory MPs you can think of, the creator of Section 28, among other things. He's been turning out to have squirreled £105,000 of our money to a company co-owned by him and his girlfriend, which is a nice example of morals. And we see this with MP after MP, even, and this was sort of the final insult to you and to me, the final insult was the election of John Bercow as a Speaker. John Bercow himself was one of the most egregious pickpockets, and then comes in and says he's going to reform the system. This is like giving the tax evasion authority over to Al Capone.
I was going to ask Ian for your on that question.
Okay, firstly, as far as Douglas was saying about the politician side of things, potentially at the next election there will be a half new intake of MPs. Now, if that then reduces down to 600, stays at 650, whatever, there will be at least another 300 MPs who are new to the system over the next 4 to 8 years. But coming back to Hazel's comment just now about the public disagree with the rules that are in place, I think that's not really showing the understanding of what the anger is. It's not the public disagreeing with the rules. The rules were wrong, but you don't seem to be acknowledging the fact that the rules were wrong. And for me, that's not showing the voters enough respect. Sorry.
Okay, Douglas, do you want to just...
I mean, I was just going to say that, I mean, the reason why the public are bemused is because most of us in our working lives have no system anywhere remotely like the system that has been run by MPs. I mean, I run a small think tank. I employ the people myself. I raise the money myself. If one of my staff at the end of the month submitted, you know, a sort of £5 receipt for a sandwich they'd eaten, I'd say, well, what's this? Well, I had to have my lunch. I said, well, of course you had to have your lunch, but why do I have to pay for it? Well, I had to eat. I mean, this makes no sense. Nobody else has a system like this. It was, I think, Milton Friedman who said, there are only 2 types of money. There's mine and there's yours. And MPs have been spending our money instead of their own. And I agree, there has been very little sign of repentance, as it were, to use an old-fashioned religious term, about it. And just one other thing quickly, which is that you're quite right, the number of new MPs in the next intake is striking, a huge influx of around half the House. We ought to be careful of this, though, as voters, and keep our eye on Westminster, because one of the things we're going to see, I'd argue, are very inexperienced, blank slate people who will come in, who will be perfect lobby fodder for the main parties. There's been a great example already, the election of Chloe Smith in Norwich. Absolutely blank slate, perfectly nice young girl of 27, fine. But absolute lobby fodder for the party. And if we have half of Parliament simply being herded through the lobbies, no experience, nothing that can add really to the mix, I think we're in for an even worse Parliament than before. We might actually look back at this one and think, oh, those were the days.
Hazel, do you want to comment back on the gentleman's point about...
What Douglas has just said about a naive 27-year-old girl being a blank canvas. I think that's...
Have you spoken to Chloe Smith?
I haven't spoken to her.
Let's go to Douglas next.
Well, I mean, it depends, first of all, what you mean by the Middle East. We tend to be kind of reductionist in this. We tend to sort of talk of the Middle East as if it's only the issue of Israel-Palestine, effectively a very small issue of suburban planning outside Jerusalem. The wider Middle East has very significant problems, quite enough problems of its own. People talk about the Middle East as if it were just this issue. It's really quite low-level conflict, as if it isn't all of the other issues in the region, not least the issue of Iran sponsoring terror groups and breaking all international obligations in its pursuit of nuclear weaponry. The problem for Mr. Obama is considerable and hasn't been made any easier by the Nobel Prize award. I was in Rome last Friday and I heard the news. I just got off a plane and I have to say I thought I must have got sunstroke when somebody told me about it. I don't think the Nobel Prizes mean very much. Certainly they haven't for peace ever since Yasser Arafat won one, and indeed since Henry Kissinger won one. Nobel Prizes for Literature have meant even less since Dario Fo and Harold Pinter won them. So Barack Obama, by the way,
going to help him.
No, it's going to make life nightmarish for him. I mean, awarding the Nobel Peace Prize to Barack Obama is like giving the Nobel Prize for Literature to a person who has yet to write their first book. He hasn't done anything, but the expectations now are monstrous. Put it this way: the Israel-Palestine issue it's not as complex as some people portray it. It has incredible complexities around it. But the central issue of whether or not you have two negotiating partners come to the table is already pretty much agreed on. It's been thrown in recent years by the election of Hamas, which means in any case, we won't have a two-state solution now. There'll probably be a three-state solution, if any. But this problem that we have now is as follows. Barack Obama has to deliver some kind of peace. He has to deliver peace in part by delivering states. And one of the states he will be obliged to deliver is the state of Gaza, which is being run by the terrorists of Hamas. No American president is going to be able to tolerate a terrorist state like that. And so I'm afraid the Nobel Committee, among others, have just set up Mr. Obama, President Obama, for the most terrible failure. I feel very sorry for him.
OK, do we have any comments at all from the audience on whether or not anyone agrees with Douglas on that view at all? Raise your hands and come to the front. Comments, please.
I agree with you that the Middle East is not restricted to Israel and Palestine. So I would like to just ask half a question. Will we attack Iran?
That's more than half a question.
OK, well, that's another show, actually.
That's about three.
Hazel, let's go to you for that one.
People. Why is it that the major parties are avoiding debating the issue at all? Is it because young people are the least likely to vote and higher education is an easy target?
So, why are the parties avoiding the issue of tuition fees? Let's start with Douglas, because we haven't started with you yet.
Okay. Well, look, I hate to break it to you. By the way, congratulations for getting a clap for a question. I wish I got a clap for questions. But look, it's not. I hate to break it to you, but it's not exclusively the issue of student tuition fees that the main parties won't address. The main parties aren't addressing almost any major issues. And there's a reason for that, which is the Labour government in its dying days is simply trying to hold on to power. At least Gordon Brown is trying to hold on to power. Will have to be prized from the doorway of number 10. And the Conservative Party believe on current opinion polls that they are lining up for office. They are right. They will become the party of government next year. And the thing that they are considering is that they should do nothing at all to reveal policies, because if they revealed any policies, people might not like some of those policies, and therefore they wouldn't get into government. I think this is the most terrible letting down of the electorate that I can imagine. It means effectively we have no choices between the parties, no real choices to make. But the... oh, my God, I got a clap.